Adolf Hitler was born in Braunau am Inn, Austria in 1889. As a child, he was introverted and distant, yet extremely passionate about nationalism and militarism. As a young man, he served for the German army in World War I. After the war, Hitler worked as military intelligence officer in Munich. As his hunger for fascism escalated, Hitler led a revolt against the Munich government, and he was sent to jail. He spent his time in jail writing a book about his plans to base German government on race. When Hitler was released, he was placed back into political power. President Paul von Hindenburg was pressured by the Nazi Party to elect Hitler as a chancellor. In 1933, Hitler used his very large political party to his advantage and passed the Enabling Act that gave him and the Nazis full legislative power and dissolved the executive branch. Hitler began his dictatorship by remilitarizing the Rhineland and increasing military productions. He began plans to purify the German race by banning marriage between Jews and blonde, blue-eyed Germans. When that did not satisfy him, he passed laws that forced Jews to live in the overcrowded ghettos of their cities to keep them away from the Aryans. Hitler was an extreme nationalist all throughout his life. He felt that Aryans, or Germans with blonde hair and blue eyes, were destined to rule the world. In his opinion, democracy and workers' rights were a disruption to society. Hitler's hatred for non-German people was so strong that he believed they should have no say in German government and that Jews should not be German. Hitler believed that communism should be destroyed because it was an enormous threat to Germany due to their living space and racial supremacy. Jews were thought to have created communism, and that's also why he hated them. The mentally and physically disabled were at a strong disadvantage considering Hitler thought they were imperfect. Although they had no choice, he would kill them off and try to rid them from Germany. He was a major believer in social Darwinism, or the idea that humans compete in a struggle of existence. This is called survival of the fittest. Hitler justified his fight for the Germans and hatred of the Jews by supporting it with biblical reasoning. He said, "By defending myself against the Jew, I am fighting for the work of the Lord." Hitler moved at the age of 17 to Vienna. In 1909, Hitler was rejected by the Austrian army, so he volunteered for the German army. He helped the army find other soldiers who support socialism, and he was recruited to be a political officer. In 1921, Hitler won an election and became the leader of a new political party, the Nazis. The party's official name was the National Socialist German Workers' Party, and it believed that equality was only for Germans, not Jews or immigrants. In 1933, the Nazis, led by Hitler, began to systematically eliminate Jews from Eastern Europe. At least 6 million Jews were killed, many in brutal concentration camps, before the Holocaust ended in 1945. After being named Chancellor of Germany in 1933, a presidential election was held in 1934 that Hitler easily won, partially because he vowed to fight communism. On January 2, 1939, Time magazine named Hitler as Man of the Year, due to his political importance and power. Throughout his reign, Hitler ignored many treaties and gained large amounts of land for Germany. He guided the Nazis to take over Czechoslovakia, Austria, Poland, Norway, Denmark, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and more. The Nazis were brutal and didn't follow laws. At the end of World War II, many of the officials were convicted of war murder crimes for the lives of more than 6 million Jews during the Nazi rule. With the war effort unsuccessful, rather than surrendering and saving lives, Hitler chose to hold out to the bitter end. The Russians were closing in on him and murdering the citizens of Berlin, but he chose to stubbornly stand strong. With the Russians finally closing in on his hiding place, he married his girlfriend and dismissed his staff. On April 30, 1945, while trying to avoid being captured by Soviet troops, Hitler and his wife committed a partner suicide. Hitler left Germany on the losing side of a war in a state of disaster. Hitler was solely responsible for sparking the Holocaust as well as World War II. His actions caused a great deal of grief and brutality among innocent people. In the Holocaust, over 11 million people were murdered through Hitler's anti-Semitism and his strong belief in social Darwinism. To this day, Adolf Hitler is held accountable for the deaths of over 46 million people.